The day they moved me from federal compliance officer to receptionist, they thought they were humiliating me. They did not realize my name was still attached to the one thing their company could not afford to lose, a $340 million federal contract. My name is Jennifer Sloan. I had worked there for 14 years, surviving acquisitions, layoffs, reorganizations, and countless federal audits. I was the person who kept our certifications current, our contracts clean, and our documentation ready. Then Tyler Whitmore, the founder's son, arrived with an expensive education and a dangerous amount of confidence. During a leadership meeting, Tyler announced that the company was moving toward an automated, technology-driven compliance model. Then he looked at me and said my methods were too traditional. I calmly asked whether my position was being formally changed. HR gave me vague answers about transition and organizational alignment. 2 days later, my office was given to someone else. My system access started disappearing, and I was moved to reception. Tyler smiled and told me reception was strategic because first impressions mattered. I smiled back and said nothing. Instead, I printed my employment contract and began documenting everything. There was something Tyler did not understand. I was still officially listed as the primary contract officer for our federal agreement, and my certification was the key credential attached to that contract. Then I received a reminder that my certification would expire in 19 days. Normally, I would have renewed it immediately. This time I did not sabotage anything. I simply stopped fixing problems that were no longer supposed to be mine. Tyler handed my responsibilities to a team of inexperienced employees and consultants. They misfiled documents, misunderstood federal regulations, and created glossy presentations about compliance culture while ignoring the actual requirements. Meanwhile, I sat behind the reception desk and kept notes. Then an auditor I had worked with before contacted me and asked if I would attend the upcoming federal review. I replied, "I will." A few days later, the company founder called me. "Are you still handling the federal renewal?" I told him I had been, but Tyler had removed me from the role. There was a long silence. Then he said, "But your name is still on the contract." "Exactly," I replied. The day before the audit, legal finally discovered the problem. My certification was about to expire, but I was still the only primary contract officer listed in the federal system. They had removed my duties without formally replacing me. The next morning, HR called me into a conference room. "Jennifer, we need you to renew your certification today," Melissa said. I looked at her calmly. "You reassigned me. You removed my access. You gave my responsibilities to someone else. Why would I still be responsible for fixing your mistake?" Legal tried to explain that there had never been a formal demotion. I nodded. Then there was never a formal reassignment either. Nobody had an answer. At midnight, my certification expired. The audit began the next morning. I arrived early wearing the same navy blazer I had worn for federal reviews for years. But instead of joining the meeting, I sat behind the reception desk. The auditor, Glenn Peterson, arrived and immediately recognized me. Upstairs, Tyler began his presentation. 20 minutes later, the elevator opened. Mason walked out looking terrified. Behind him came Glenn, followed by Tyler and the legal team. Tyler had lost his smile. Glenn had found the problem. He opened the contract and read the critical information aloud. Jennifer Sloan was still listed as the primary contract officer. Her certification had expired. No replacement officer had been officially recorded. The $340 million contract was now in serious danger of suspension. The founder joined by speakerphone and demanded an explanation. Tyler blamed the restructuring. HR blamed paperwork. Legal blamed the transition, but the records blamed all of them. I finally walked into the conference room carrying a single envelope. I placed it on the table. "This is my resignation. Effective immediately." Nobody spoke. I told them I had copies of every email documenting my removal, my revoked access, and the transfer of my responsibilities. If they needed my testimony, they could contact me through the proper legal process. Then I walked out. That evening, the company's federal systems were locked down for investigation. The contract pipeline was frozen. Tyler was removed. The new compliance team was suspended, and the consultants disappeared almost overnight. I was sitting in a quiet bar several blocks away when my phone started buzzing. Recruiters were already contacting me. One came from a defense contractor I had worked with years earlier. Another came from a federal compliance firm. They wanted me. I looked at the messages and smiled. For months, Tyler thought I was powerless because I was sitting behind a reception desk. He was wrong. I never sabotaged the company. I never lied. I never touched a single system. Simply stopped saving people who had decided they no longer needed me. They did not lose everything because I destroyed them. They lost everything because they removed the person who knew how to keep it standing.